Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar about the Tradewind Solutions Marketplace. I know a lot of you are really interested in the marketplace, and we've gotten some really great feedback from industry as well as government, and we're happy to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about it. Some of you may already be using the marketplace, some of you may not. And that's okay. We're going to be able to cover it from soup to nuts. So you'll get a good overview of the thinking behind the marketplace, why we're doing it, how it's being used, and how it can help you accomplish your mission as well as help the government accomplish its mission. We have a really great panel today. We have Ben Martin, who is intimately involved with the marketplace, as well as Bonnie Evangelista, who is also intimately involved in the marketplace on the government side. So what we'll do is I'll kick it over to them for some quick intros. And then what we're going to do is just go through a couple of slides that gives you sort of an overview of the marketplace. And what will happen is it'll take about 10-15 minutes to go through our slides, and Ben and Bonnie are just going to talk freehand. And if during the course of the discussion you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A bar. You should all see that on your panel. On your Zoom panels, there's a Q&A option. So just drop your questions in there. And then once we get over into the Q&A session, I will moderate that, and I'll make sure that we get your questions out there and get them answered for you. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in there as well about, whether it's about the marketplace or about anything else. It'll go directly to me and we'll make sure we get you some answers. So I'll kick it over to Ben and Bonnie now, and we'll get started. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, Fiona. Maybe we'll do some intros real quick between Bonnie and I so you know who's talking. I'm Ben McMartin. I have been advising in multiple capacities for Bonnie's team and the CDAO at large, and formerly the Jake, on a number of aspects related to acquisition, intellectual property, other transaction agreements, and now the marketplace, which is very exciting new initiative that borrows a lot of the best lessons learned from across the acquisition innovation community, and really put something new out there that I'm really excited about. I spent more than a decade as a contracting officer and program manager in the Department of the Army, working mostly in R&D and in OTA focused organizations, and had an opportunity during my career to write some of the OTA guidance for OSD. And ultimately, one thing that really excites me about the marketplace is, within the innovation community, there's been a lot of creative solutions developed around solicitation and evaluation methods. And so the marketplace, I believe, takes all of those best practices that have been created over more than a decade and puts them in a new medium, maybe in a new light, but ultimately lowers some barriers for industry and helps government along with that speed to contract that's always an issue. So I'm excited to talk about what the marketplace is today, hoping to answer a lot of questions, because we don't like charts at the marketplace. We like video. So we're going to, after we do our intros, we're going to get right into cruising through some charts, and hopefully we just won't do the charts and we'll answer a bunch of questions. But Bonnie, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, I vote no charts. So I usually take this point in an introduction setting to try and convince people why I have any authority on this subject about what we're talking about, because I think there's been a lot of talk, no action from the government in terms of like how do we do these things. There's a lot of narratives out there that are saying the right things, but we're still not really seeing a lot of movement on the needle, so to say. So I've been in this space for quite a while now. I'm a contracting professional by trade. My career has not been in the DoD, actually. I started my career, I got my cradle to grave contracting with the Department of Homeland Security, specifically mostly the Transportation Security Administration. That was my first introduction to other transaction agreements. I did large multi-million-dollar other transaction agreements for TSA baggage handling systems and negotiating with airport authorities and other entities like town councils, whoever owns the airport, on how to basically modernize the baggage handling system, so we could put new baggage screening systems and integrate the two together. So the DoD, but that's where I got my footings, because all the fundamentals of how the agreements work were still the same. I was then introduced to Army contracting in 2018, and that's where I really started to enter the space that we're going to talk about today. I've been in position since then, started with the Army and took the opportunity to, I'll just say, I saw an opportunity to rewrite the rules, which is why I'm here. We're looking, everybody knows the need and the desire for change in this space. And I can absolutely say this platform is going to disrupt the space that we're all familiar with in terms of speed to contract, especially when it comes to bleeding tech, emerging tech, innovation. We're going to get into all of that, but so my background, again, primarily contracting, but I have worked intimately in the prototyping space, experimentation space. Again, that leads towards more of the non-FAR based contracting. That's kind of my wheelhouse, and that's kind of where I crossed paths with Ben, and we're here to talk about how basically all the culmination of each of our careers have led to this moment where we're here to bring something new and different to you all, and hopefully convince you that this is worthwhile.
All right, well, let's get right into it, and we'll start killing you guys with the 300 charts we created. And if you don't ask questions, then I'll just bury you in charts. So that's your opportunity to throw us off course, and I would appreciate it. And I see some people from the innovation community here, so I know you're willing to throw me off course. So I definitely see some folks from the DIU community, folks from Ensign community, folks from Army Applications Lab. When I left Army Futures had just stood up, and I was working for an Army lab and spent a lot of time down at Applications Lab. Feel free to hop in, ask us why this is different. So while I'm looking for those cues, let's go to the next chart.
Yeah, we'll get started in a second here. I realized I welcomed everyone, but I never told you who I was. And I'm not going to go through a complete bio on myself, but I will say I'm Fiona Litvak. I'm in charge of communications for Tradewind. You may have seen me on and off our social media platforms. I'm on there quite a bit. But yeah, I run the communications, so I'm happy to be supporting Ben and Bonnie on this project. So we'll get started here. And I promise you, we do not have 300 slides. Ben was just pulling your leg.
All right, so first of all, you heard our backgrounds. We have a lot of contracting program management experience, both on the civilian side and on the defense side. And so these should not be surprise barriers to anybody who works in public procurement at any level: state, university system, local government, federal government, defense, civilian. Long procurement times are the norm. The regulatory structure is always burdensome. Communication is dismal. These are the type of things that come up in every single barriers to entry study. My organization, Public Spend Forum, put out a barriers to entry study 2 years ago, brought in a bunch of DoD folks, and guess what? Surprise! Communication and regulatory structure, biggest barriers, right? And so this is a constant piece that comes up, and organizations are always trying to figure out different ways to tackle it. And so, ours is no different in some of the strategies that we used, but what we did do that other people maybe haven't done is we said, okay, how can we take the best practices that other people have come up with? How can we put forward an opportunity that lowers some of these barriers without taking ownership and control, right? So most people come out and they say, I'm going to build an empire. I have to own everything. It's going to be completely new, and it's never new. It's a ripoff of somebody else, what somebody else has done. And so what we said is, okay, we're gonna acknowledge that we're borrowing the best stuff other people have done. We're going to put a couple twists on it, things that we think would be an improvement, and then we're not going to own it. We're going to offer it as a service out to DoD and say anybody can use the marketplace. You don't have to use our contracting authority. We'll provide services for you, but you're not tied to them. You can use your own services. And so what we've done is we've opened up that environment to team with an Army applications lab, or team with a private consortia, or team with an industry association. And those are possibilities because we're not trying to own the entire process. Okay. And so these things, I think we're attacking every one of these. The degree to which we solve them really comes on the adoption that folks are willing to put into the marketplace. But I do believe, one of the biggest changes is we are invested. You heard earlier, we hate charts, right? So we're invested in video. And so if you go to the marketplace, you can go to tradewindai.com, register into the Tradewind ecosystem, and then from tradewindai.com enter the marketplace. And what you'll see is the marketplace is all about video. We're going to give you instructions on how to make a video through video. We're going to tell you about the program through video. For those of you who are worried about that, and you say to yourself, Ben, I love to read. I'm a contracts nerd, and I want to see a 30-page RFP because that's what makes me comfortable. Don't worry, we buried that 30-page RFP. Well, it's not buried. It's on the page. You can pull it up if you're like me and you love reading those long documents with all the section headings. That's there for you too. But what you'll find is that we've really translated that into video. So if you hate reading, you can go and watch the video, and you can be very comfortable developing and submitting a solution to the marketplace, which ultimately can get you in front of a DoD customer and get you an awardable solution. All right, Bonnie, do you have any comments on the value prop before we move on?
I always have comments, Ben. That's a dangerous question. I would say the first two things is this was designed with the end user in mind. This is meant to flatten, from a government perspective, one of the challenges is getting solutions to users in a relevant, timely fashion, whatever words you want to use. This whole construct can flatten some of the hierarchy and the bureaucracy we've created between the end user and all the other functional lanes that get between the end user and the procurement activity, or even the solution provider. So from a end user perspective, this is a platform that anybody, not just acquisition people, can go to in order to browse, to see what the art of the possible is. And if there's interest, that's when you can start initiating some action, whether it's from a procurement perspective or even just a discovery perspective. You want to learn more, you want to see what's going on. To me, there's two key things, like having this mindset starts to open up. One, and I'm going to steal some words from a teammate of mine because he said it best, but we're going to lead with technology. So whether it's a subject matter expert or an end user, if somebody who just has a competency that we trust and admire, and they say, holy smokes, like, I think this is going to work, or I think this is game changing, we should pay attention to that. And this pays some respect to that, in that we are allowed, that subject matter expert, most definitely, if they see something they like, it creates the mechanism to initiate a possible procurement action. And then two, we're enabling smart people to do smart things. So, if a subject matter expert or anybody user is willing to take a risk, that is also something we should pay attention to. So again, having solution providers submit videos provides a setting or an environment where those two things can happen. Leading with technology, enabling smart people to do things, because we can then initiate actions where, we're doing merit-based decision making and taking appropriate risks where possible. And for me, that that's a huge improvement toward like where we were and where we want to go in terms of, federal government contracting or even delivery of technology to the edge.
All right. Yeah, see, I knew if I dropped it to you, you'd nail it with some comments. So it all worked out. And we got several questions in while you're giving those comments. So let's run through a couple of them. Mark Robinson says, has the Tradewind AI marketplace been offered to the civilian agencies as well? If no, why not? Oh, because we don't like those civilian agencies. No, the Tradewind AI marketplace went live officially on Halloween at midnight. And so it's not even 30 days old yet. The pilot effort, which is underway right now, is designed for DoD. Could a civilian agency leverage it? Of course, a civilian agency could leverage it. How do civilian agencies leverage it currently? You would do an interagency agreement over to the CDAO, and then you use it for a procurement under a project. But this goes back to what Bonnie said, which I think is important, is the marketplace is not just an acquisition tool. This is not just a video-based acquisition tool. The marketplace can be used right now for market research by other government agencies. The marketplace can be used right now to identify a technology and enter into a CRADA. The marketplace can be used to assess and test technologies and not buy those technologies. So there's other uses for the marketplace outside of acquisition. It absolutely supports acquisition, but agencies can certainly gain access and use it for the purposes of their agency. But the streamlined process would be currently is do an interagency agreement, leverage CDAO. In the future, based on interest, because we're in the pilot stage, that may be expanded to be a federal government-wide activity. And I'll let Bonnie speak to that.
Yeah,
Well,
and I think Ben brings up a good point in terms of demand signals, as we like to call them. So if this does become, if we create such a demand where we do need to extend it to civilian agencies, that would be amazing. Currently, as Ben stated, we would have to collaborate and work with those civilian agencies if there was interest through the normal channels we're used to, like IAs and things like that.
yeah, but if you have a civilian side customer or you work for a civilian side agency and the marketplace is of interest, please reach out to Bonnie or myself and we'll talk to you. And then Brooke had a couple of questions. Are the slides going to be available? Always a great question. Sure, the slides are available. You reach out to Fiona for those slides, I believe, or Marka. So reach out to Fiona and then we'll get you a copy of the slides. And then the second question is regarding the T&E, BPA, and DRADE. And I think this is probably outside of the marketplace question because it's more specific to T&E and DRADE, which Bonnie can speak to. But I do want to make one point about the marketplace. Is the marketplace solutions, the video solutions that are entered in the marketplace can be awarded through a whole array of instruments. And so if you were a BPA or BOA holder under one of those instruments and you use the marketplace to identify a technology and there was a customer that wanted to buy it, those instruments are on the table as award instruments. In addition to a whole array of potential award instruments. But Bonnie, maybe you could speak to the specific question that Brooke is asking.
Before I do that, I'll just make another plug on the slide question. The slides are probably less interesting than the website with the videos. So I would start there. And if you still have that yearning for more information, of course, reach out and get the slides. Regarding the BPAs and the BOAs, I'm reading between the lines a little bit in the question because it says specifically both are now posted on Tradewinds. I think what you mean is they're actually included on the Tradewind website. That is true. They've always been part of the Tradewind suite of services or the Tradewind portfolio, where we have multiple, I call them contracting pathways, such as the T&E BPA, the Trade BOA. We do our prototyping challenges, and now the marketplace offers another contracting pathway potentially. So yes, it is on the website, but then it says, are the opportunities posted to those vehicles restricted to the BPA and BOA winners? So if there is a specific opportunity posted for T&E BPA or Trade BOA, I'm sure we're meeting fair opportunity standards and whatnot. In general, just to clarify, the marketplace, and anytime we are posting prototype challenges on the Tradewind website, that is open to all. That's not restricted to any of our already established contract holders.
Yeah, great question. And then Jade, after watching all the videos and reading what was public, man, that's diligence right there. Could not locate the specific requirements for size, length, file type, and etc. So make sure, Jade, you go back and you check out that announcement document. This information is included in one of the videos, one of the 3 help center videos. But make sure you fly to that help center. There's 3 help center videos. One of them will give you this information, or if you want to see it in writing, click on that announcement. There's both the PDF available on the website and a link to SAM if you'd like to go to SAM. You can find the same document in either location, and it will tell you exactly what those length requirements are. All right. I think we answered those questions, knocking them out. All right, let's head over to the next chart. All right, so we jumped right in. We talked about a lot of benefits, and then we probably need to take a step back and kind of focus what this thing is. So the marketplace, in its essence, is a repository of videos, video solutions that meet certain criteria that industry and academia or individuals who are also eligible here have developed a video and uploaded it for assessment. There is an assessment panel made up of industry, academia, and government who assesses those video submissions for technical merit. And all of the criteria and how that all works is identified in detail in the announcement available through Tradewind AI or directly at the Tradewind Marketplace. And so really the benefit of the marketplace is that once a video is assessed and determined to have technical merit, then it is actually physically placed on the marketplace. So for industry partners, you want to go and identify what that criteria is for making the video. You want to make those videos. This is a low barrier of entry. How low? We're talking about making an iPhone video, okay? This is not making a professional video. We're talking about these are less than 5 minutes, all right? So you're doing a less than 5 minute pitch. You only need to cover the content that the type of content that you would have if you're pitching for funding. So most people, if you got a startup, you're definitely familiar with this. What's the problem I'm solving? How am I solving it with my technology or service solution? What is the impact/benefit to DoD, and what makes me different from the other people in the space? And so those are very standard kind of pitch things. And you can identify all 4 of those in a video in 5 minutes. That's your video solution. Those are uploaded to the system. The assessment team is flagged once every 30 days. We batch them for 30 days. And then once we have that batch of 30 days, then the assessment team comes in and they watch the videos and they assess them against the criteria. All the criteria published right there on the announcement for you to see. And then they will communicate with you. What? You mean people are going to talk to me during an evaluation? Yes, they're going to talk to you during an evaluation. What are they going to say? They're going to say, hey, you gave me a 13-minute video. I'm not watching it. Why wasn't it 5 minutes? Don't you know how to follow rules? Believe me, it's already happened, okay? The second thing they're going to say is, hey, in your video, you never identified what you think the impact or benefit the DoD would be. That's, we need that in the content or you can't make it through. They're going to give you those comments. So even if your video is not awardable, right, at that time, you can take it back, you can rework it, you can resubmit. Right. So those assessors are going to help you through the parts where your video isn't meeting the mark. And then ultimately, if either you go through the first time or you have to resubmit, when your video is deemed to have technical merit, you have all the content you're supposed to have, and it goes through the marketplace, then your video will reside on the marketplace. There's an opportunity to have comments back and forth with government customers on your video. Government customers can view your video and engage with you directly because now you are post-competition. They can engage with you directly on a whole number of matters. Hey, I'd like to do a creative with you. Hey, can you give me some more test information on your product? Like, I love your video. Can you give me some of the specs because I might want to buy that solution? And then ultimately those customers, government customers, can reach out to you directly and have that back and forth communication about your solution, and about potential applications or requirements they have that relate to what you say. So that in a nutshell is the Tradewind Solutions Marketplace from the industry perspective. From the government perspective, here's the interesting characteristics about it. We have painstakingly made sure that we are meeting the solicitation requirements for the FAR and DFARs, as well as the non-FAR based instruments, OTA, in this instance, okay? And so award instrument wise, once you've gone through the evaluation process and you reside on the marketplace, customers can come to you and say, hey, I want to do business with you. And they have options of how that business will happen, whether it's going to be a non-acquisition instrument like a creative, whether it's going to be an assistance agreement like a cooperative agreement, whether it's going to be a non-traditional acquisition instrument, OTA, or whether they're going to go the contract route. Maybe they're going to do a purchase order with you. Okay. And so we've left it open to where the acquisition can go wherever the contracting shops want the acquisition to go, and we don't have to own it. What we're doing, our value prop is we're getting your solution from nobody knows about you. We're getting you past that into, I have a contract pathway. I'm a known commodity. I've been assessed by government and they say I have merit. So that's really our value proposition. We're not going to take you the whole way. Can we take you the whole way? Of course we can take you the whole way. Are we going to do that for every solution? We don't need to do every solution, but we can. So I talked a long time there, Bonnie. I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah, let me try and break this down a little bit more in practice in terms of what we're really driving at in terms of when Ben talks about the value prop and stuff like that. In practice, I think most everybody knows on this call, the traditional workflow is develop the requirement, solicit the requirement, enter into some kind of source selection, then award the contract. We're essentially we're eliminating that front end part of the process from requirements development to source selection. The platform, when Ben calls the platform the post-competitive environment, we've already set the conditions necessary. We've set the table to allow competition to the process that we're describing today is the competitive process. Having a solution in the marketplace, there is an assessment process. There is an element where we are meeting compliance standards, like Ben said, on the FAR and non-FAR based SARs. So if we do decide if we find a solution, we want to do prototyping, we can justify a competitive basis, or there was a competitive standard to which we found the solution. Similarly, on the FAR based side, you can do the same thing. There was a competitive basis to which solutions were assessed and included in the marketplace. And then you're basically eliminating all the time spent just to find and source solutions, and you can get right to the business deal. You can get right to the contracting strategy, and you can get right to, I want to pilot, I want to experiment, or I want to assess cybersecurity, whatever it is, you can just get right to that part rather than spending time, a lot of time in some cases, depending on which contracting office you're working with. You can get right to the important part where you're buying and potentially assessing the actual product for feasibility. What I love about this design is like when we talk about how like solutions are being assessed to be awardable within the solutions marketplace, there's no requirement that's driving that. There's no, I'm going to say mission requirement that's driving that, excuse me. All we're assessing is, does your product solve a DoD problem? And if so, why is your product, why does your product win, essentially? Why does your tech win, or why does your service win, whatever it is? What's the value proposition to the DoD? And that's where the marketplace concept comes into play. We're actually driving more of a DoD solutions marketplace where we have access to solutions that have actually been assessed. So rather than guessing, we have a peer panel that's actually looking at and assessing whether there is DoD viability. And that's where some of the merit-based technical things come into play, where you as a mission owner, end user, acquisition professional, whoever, can look and say, I think that applies to my mission set and I want to try it. So we're enabling all these things to happen in a very rapid fashion. We're flattening a lot of or removing a lot of workflows that are just not meeting the speed to contract that's required in this space. So those are just a couple of things that I think I wanted to highlight in particular, because that, from a contracting and also just from a government stakeholder perspective, like that's really important to me, at least. What else we got, Ben?
Ben, you're on mute.
I said I have plenty more, but
Oh,
I
it was
want to
just me.
see what we have on the next chart. But in the interim, we got a question there.
Ben,
From
before we get to
Suzanne.
that, before we get to that question, I just wanted to chime in here. One important piece is I think it's important to pass along that the video solution, the actual videos are about the solution, not necessarily about the company, right? Like I think it's important for industry solutions providers to understand that the video has to be about an actual specific technology that they're offering, rather than, hey, this is my company. So that's an important piece too.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time, and Bonnie continues to spend a lot of time in her career reading executive summaries that take 10 pages and not caring, by the way. I think that's not a secret, and yet you still can't tell the company not to write an executive summary. But usually I was like, okay, 5 pages, rip, don't care, get into the meat, right? So same thing in the marketplace. We picked 5 minutes for a reason. You've got 4 major things you got to cover. You got 5 minutes. You want to get to the crux of it. You want to put the best, technology forward. The other thing we did, so that we didn't have to spend so much time on things like, past performance and stuff like that, which ultimately may be important later when customers are talking to you about what size and scope of application they want to use your technology for, your service for. But ultimately up front, we're just looking for great solutions that can start the conversation. And so we have not limited how many videos a company can do. We have not limited how frequently you can upload. We have not limited how long a video can be on the marketplace before someone awards something. We have not limited how many different customers can buy off of one single video. And so when you look at those strategies, if I'm a company, if I've got 6 product lines, I'm making 6 videos, right? They're only 5 minutes. I can do them on my iPhone. I'm making 6 videos. It's going to cost 6 videos in the marketplace that I can pull down and put new videos up at any time. I have no restrictions time-wise. Think about what the cost difference is between that and going after a $50 million service contract with your capture team. In small businesses are like, I don't have a capture team. But for large businesses, you're going to spend $1 million going after that 50 million bucks, right? That's what your capture team and labor is going to cost you. There was recently an a large Army ground vehicle competition that's ongoing. You can figure out which one, in which they put out a solicitation and then they canceled the solicitation after about a year. And then they took about 1.5 years to revamp, and then they put it back out. One of the contractors, after a year of the capture effort, of the proposal and capture effort, when it was canceled, had spent $20 million on that capture effort. A whole year of a big team and $20 million trying to go after that requirement. So when we thought of these things when we were doing the marketplace on, can we get really short videos, really quick? Tell me what your value prop is. Tell me what your product line is, but keep them short and compact enough to where you can make multiple videos and we're not going to be putting anybody out. It doesn't have to be high quality. They're not super long videos. You only have 4 things to cover. And if you make a mistake and you don't like it, you can pull it down and submit a new video. I think we've really lowered the barrier super far on the marketplace. And I'll tell you why I think it's working. We launched on Halloween midnight. Okay. So really November 1st in the morning, right? So we launched November 1st. Here we are on the 22nd. I didn't expect any videos until probably December something, because I figured people would take 30 days. They'll watch the videos, they'll visit the help center, they'll read the announcement, they'll reread the announcement, they'll think about the video, and then they'll make it. And then like 30 days, we'll get the batch. We pretty much have a full assessment cycle ready to go, a full cohort, first 30 days ready to go. I was expecting to do 0 or 1 videos. We're probably going to do about 15 to 20 videos in the first round, which is unheard of because we don't even have the word out yet on the marketplace. So I think it's easy enough for people to say, you know what, I pitched to some venture the other week. I've got half a video made. I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I'm going to send it in. Boom. I'm good. So I think that's the value prop we're bringing in. And so far, the folks that are bidding are finding it an easy solution. Is there going to be kinks? Of course there is. But you know the people that are involved in it, and you can reach out to us.
You know how I know it's working, Ben?
How's it working?
Because we're also getting recommendations from either people in a specific end user community or people kind of just within our career networks who know us, and we're getting recommendations from people who have these problems or these challenges to overcome, and they see the potential and they figure it's worth the investment. So we're getting lots of recommendations on either solution providers or even just people with ideas. And you and I talked to somebody with an idea on it was like on Monday, and then on Tuesday, in working with you and your team, they had an LLC and they submitted a video. I mean, that's, to me, that is exactly what this is all about. We're never going to start seeing a different answer to our problems unless we're communicating differently with a larger audience. So I think that's just, to me, another indication that we are creating almost like a nicer front door, not just for industry, but just people who have ideas and want to help.
All right, let's hop on to the next chart, and we're cruising. I think we've covered these benefits, and I think we want to get into the nuts and bolts, but super quick, if you want to go back to that chart just quickly. Anytime you have a marketplace, you're going to have a two-sided value prop with customers. And so the value prop here, we really had to think about 2 audiences. So we've got industry, and really in that vein, we looked at that barriers to entry lens. Like, okay, what are groups like GAO, like Public Spend Forum, like the IG, like the Professional Services Council, like NDIA. These groups are always studying how are my members impacted by federal acquisition. And so we took those lessons learned from that and said, okay, how do we attack the front end of this acquisition process to break down those barriers and address them, and at least get folks past, the number one things I always hear from companies and small companies are, I can sell, I just got to get in front of the right customer. I don't know how to get in front of the right customer. I've got this kind of, the SAM.gov world where, once you see something on SAM, you've lost, right? Like if you're seeing something on SAM for the first time, you're not going to go and win that. So, how do I get in front of the customer so that they know what I sell, so that I can start working with them, so that when a requirement comes out, I knew the requirement was coming out, and I'm positioned with the rest of the companies that are doing that work. So that's a piece that we're working here with. How can we get you into the position where the government is familiar with you and it's a low barrier, right? And the right customers are looking at what you have, and then they can reach out to you instead of it being a push, it can be a pull. The second piece is, so that's the industry side. The second piece is on the government side. So I spent my whole career in this area, right? Both doing the contracting and yelling at the contracting people on the program management side to say, life can't be this hard. I need to be able to identify a good technology or group of technologies. Especially I worked in R&D, the biggest chunk of my career was in R&D. If I identify 2 or 3, brand new technologies, I need to be able to get to them quickly. Because if it takes me 6 months or a year or more to get to those technologies, they might not be the ones I want to get to anymore. There might be somebody else. And so time is always a major constraint. And contracting pathways is a terrible constraint. I don't know how many times a company would come to my office when I was on the government side and say, hey, we got this solution. We're selling it to the Navy. It fits a use case you have. And I'd say, oh, I want to buy that. That's perfect. That's going to meet a need of mine. And I'd call the Navy, and the Navy would say, we can't add anything to our contract. You're going to have to do a new competition and start over again. What do you mean I got to do a new competition, start over again? It's not even worth it to me at that point. So for a government customer, you want to be able to see a solution and know there's a contract path to that solution. And so there's a lot of great benefits to the marketplace, but the 2 big benefits are that I'm a company and I'm getting my technology in front of the right people with a contract pathway, or I'm in the government, I'm identifying what the relevant technologies for me are, and I know they have a contract pathway. And so that's really the 2-sided marketplace that we're trying to solve here with the Tradewind Solutions Marketplace. Any more comments on that, Barb?
Yeah, not really, because I will say from a government perspective, one of the, I remember having a conversation with a PM, and he said, he was telling me how much it was such a waste to go, this was before COVID, it was such a waste to go to conferences, trade shows, and things like that, because he would walk in and see a bunch of amazing things, but he had no contracting path to getting them. So if he saw something that blew his mind or he thought would be super impactful, he either had to, figure out what requirement it satisfied, do the, again, requirement solicitation, source selection process, and he knew that would be a 12+ month endeavor. So opportunity, or a platform like this, again, provides the mechanism that I think it's filling a gap for many. I mean, I think each of us could talk about many scenarios like that. You gave a bunch just now. So I think this is filling a very needed gap in the conversations that are already happening today around like solution providers and how they're creating relationships, strategic relationships with government customers and stuff like that.
All right, let's fly on to that next chart. This was a question we got pre pre-webinar today. And so this directly answers it. So one of the big questions we have is, okay, you got this marketplace, but what type of solutions are you looking for in the marketplace? And so the marketplace is really built to support the CDAO mission at the top level. All right. And so the CDAO is the, it's the Chief Digital and AI Office. And really their mission identifies that they are covering AI, ML, digital, and data solutions. And so AI and machine learning, absolutely, one of the focuses here. Digital solutions, absolutely one of the focuses. Data solutions, obviously, for those of you in the AI ML world, and there's probably several of you on the call today, that data should be in front of AI ML. And so data is huge. That is going to be, that is one of the biggest areas where this organization and its partner organizations are going to buy, especially now, as in data solutions. And so you'll see some categories here. We actually have more categories in this, and they continue to grow as we meet the mission of the customer. But I would like to call your attention to that last one, blue sky technology applications. That's really the option, right? That's really the and by the way, for my AFWorks friends, I think there's one on here. We're not creating anything new. We're borrowing the best of what's out there. And one of the great things about AFWorks and their open topic SIBR is they came up with the blue sky technology application, right? To say, hey, we know we've got some needs, and we know we don't know some things, and that's our blue sky category. So in blue sky, we're saying, look, we told you the kind of categories we know we're going after. We know there's categories we don't even know, and we want you to tell us what those applications are, what your technologies are, what problems they solve, what problems I have that I don't know, right? And offer that to me, because those definitely have merit, and we want to ingest those into the marketplace as well. And so don't think of this as a limiting list. It's so tempting for people to think of this as a limiting list. Hey, I went on there and I have training solutions, and I do this AI-based training solutions, and it doesn't say training solutions, so I guess I'm out, right? But that was one of the questions we got early on. First of all, we added training solutions, so you'll see that in the new announcement. But second of all, that absolutely fits under the blue sky technology applications. So anybody have questions on this piece of it? Because I feel like people get here and they go, oh, I guess that's not for me. And really, if you're anywhere related in the AI, ML, digital data, by the way, does AI apply to everything? It pretty much does. If you're in the medical field, lots of AI applications right now. If you're in the education field, tons of AI applications right now. So if you have questions on that, though, please reach out to our team and say, this is what I'm selling. This is my technology product. Does it fit? And we can work with it.
Yeah, I had the same conversation with a government stakeholder who I was talking to about the marketplace yesterday, where their first question was, because they knew my office was kind of the AI ML house and stuff like that. And they're like, well, my stuff's not that. And I said, well, just like Ben said, that is not the limiting factor here. That's not the point. We have some broad focus areas, of course, that we're looking at from a CDAO mission perspective, but we're not limited to that at all.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of companies that are out there that just have to structure data. That is necessary to support this mission. So those are the kind of technologies, hey, I've got a tool that helps structure unstructured data. I have a natural language processing tool. I have just a straight up data analytics capability that's needed for spend analyses or business systems. These are all potential avenues for using the marketplace. All right, give me another chart. And I want to get into some, we got 11 minutes and I'm going to get real practical. And the next chart is real practical. So it worked out perfect. Okay, so I think we already talked to this piece, which is ultimately today, all the industry partners today are going to go to tradewindai.com. and they are going to create an industry account, and then they're going to be taken to a dashboard, and that dashboard is going to show you the suite of services of Tradewind. The marketplace is one piece, okay? The marketplace is one piece, but you're going to see all the other features of Tradewind, right? Experts, different contracting instruments, events that are going on, all right? You're going to see partners like our hosts today, ATARC, on there, and their events and podcast series, and all of the outreach they're doing through multiple programs, including Tradewind and AI literacy and some other programs. And you're going to be in the world of Tradewind now. You've been sucked in, okay? And then when you're in there, then you're going to go click on the marketplace, and you're going to start working through the marketplace and learning more and thinking about what you want to do. But we've made it real simple. Once you're in TradewindAI.com, you're in the ecosystem. And then after that, you're just using different services. Marketplace is one of those services. If you are on the government side, and you're like, hey, I want to use this as a tool to go see what's out there. Okay, awesome. You're going to go to TradewindAI.com, and you're going to sign up for a government account, and you're going to go to your dashboard, and it's going to tell you all the stuff you can do with your government permissions, which is going to be, you're going to be able to go and watch videos once they're in there. We haven't gone through our first assessment, right? We're in our first 30 days. But once we go through the first assessment, you're going to see the videos that are deemed awardable. And then you're going to have all the other features that are involved in TradewindAI.com. There's a lot of services and capabilities on TradewindAI.com that are not the marketplace, which we're talking about today. But there's a lot of other features. So get in there, mess around, check out the challenges that are currently open, check out all the features of TradewindAI.com. Try to break it. That's always good. Can never get enough user testing. Get in there, try to break it a little bit, and get familiar. And then, send us your questions on that. But that's really your task out of this webinar today is, if you do nothing else, go to TradewindAI.com, sign up your user account. Super easy. I may be mistaken, but I swear all we ask for is name and email. I don't even know if we ask for organization, but go there, log in, you'll have an account, you'll have a dashboard, and you can see all these features. Bonnie, you want to add on to that?
I do, but I want to add on to kind of the next step, and I don't want to get ahead. So like once the video's in, like kind of that whole next step about getting to the business deal.
All right, let's talk that, because we've got 7 minutes, so we'll hop in there. Fiona, I don't know if you have a chart on that, but otherwise we'll just speak to it. So ultimately, oh, look at that. Perfect. Look at that. I may have known that was in there. I'm not sure. So what you will see on this chart, I hope, the most important non-boxes to me, the most important part in this are the feedback, the feedback circles and the revised circle. So this is not a winner take all zero-sum game RFP where, oops, I screwed up on some compliance and my proposal got rejected, or I didn't make it past the competitive range, or I made it past the competitive range, but I wasn't selected and I spent a year of my life and I have no money and now I have to go back. Okay. We all lived those. I've lived those. I don't anymore. Bonnie still continues to live those at some point, I'm sure. But I don't have to live those anymore unless I'm proposing on something like that. And so what I love about the marketplace are the feedback loops. All right. The assessment team, first of all, you're going to get a call from our team before the assessment team even sees it. And they're going to say, you got a 13-minute video. You messed up. It's 5 minutes. Let's walk you through that. Oh, you filled in the wrong information on this part. Don't worry, we got you. And we'll reach out, we'll tell you, and we'll work you through that. We are cleaning it up so that when it gets to the assessor, hopefully you aren't having those comments. And the assessor can talk more about your technology, your problem statement, that kind of thing. There's feedback all the way through that. If the assessor says, look, you're too far gone, you're just not hitting it right, they're going to give you all that great feedback and they're going to send you back to the drawing board. All you're going to do is you're going to go revise that video with the tips they gave you, and you're going to come back with it on, right to them. Once you're going to continue to get that feedback until you get to accept it. Once you've been accepted, then your video will actually be uploaded into the live portion of the marketplace where government customers, only government customers, not other industry partners, other government customers can watch your video. They can search for your video. They can learn about your company. You will have the opportunity to upload additional documents. Hey, all we evaluate is the video, but after the video is deemed awardable, you can upload product sheets or past performance or stuff that you want to upload to increase the value prop that people buy your solution. But those aren't required for the assessment. And then once they're selected, the government will reach out to you for different things. Sometimes it may be just a conversation. Sometimes they may want to enter into a more formal agreement that's maybe not acquisition, like CRADA. They may want to talk to you about a contract they have, and maybe there's a subcontracting opportunity. They may want you to come to a pitch day because they love your technology. They may want to test your technology. And they may come to you and say, I want to contract with you and I want to scope out an application. One thing that we've left wide open on this is, what typically happens is you'll propose an application. Here's the problem I solve. Here's the technology solution or service solution that I have. Here's the application of it to the problem. The application solves the problem. Here's how it helps DoD. Here's how I'm greater than everybody else. Often, especially in my role when I was at the lab, is I'd look at a solution and say, I love that solution. I wouldn't solve that problem with it. I'd solve this other problem with it. Okay. We've left it wide open to, if you have technical merit, if your solution has technical merit, a customer may come to you and say, love it, don't want to solve that problem. I have a related problem. Let's scope out a different application. Again, you're in post-competitive environment. You're scoping out a different application. It's the same technology, just a different application. And then you'll scope it out with them. After that, you're working into an award environment, which may be through Bonnie's team and our partners. It may be through your own contracting activity or customer's own contracting activity. And so we're not trying to own the whole process, because if you own the whole process, you slow things down. And people get a little upset about the rice bowls. We are not letting that happen by offering solutions, but not taking ownership of it. And then I'm going to pass it, Bonnie, to you for final comments on this and whatever else you have.
Yeah, this is where I'm gonna ask for a little bit of help, because my team believes in this concept so much, where we're willing to lean forward. I fully expect there to be a little bit of a difficult road to adoption from my colleagues and peers in the contracting community. This is really different, and sometimes different is really hard in my community for a number of reasons. But if you're interacting with a customer and you're doing the things that Ben's talking about, that we've talked about, and the contracting shop is not supportive of this approach, this is where I'm willing to come in and say, I am supportive of this, and I am willing to work with my team to prove out this concept as many times as I have to, and we'll start to understand the potential here. So if you are one of those people where you're going down this road and you believe in this journey too, and you get stuck on the contracting part, please contact my office. Or if you don't have that, Ben and his team definitely know how to get in contact with me. This is where we can help. My team knows how to do this. We've been doing it for years. We're very well accustomed to these kind of novel or different environments where you're doing unprecedented things, or you're doing things in the gray. Like, we kind of thrive in these environments. So we know how to do it. We'll help you do it. We'll work with the government customer that is interested in your solution, and we'll show kind of the art of the possible with this platform. Thanks, Ben.
All right, so right up to the time, we answered all the questions that were given. I hope folks are over at tradewinai.com right now. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, ATARC. Again, please reach out to us with questions on this concept. It's new, it's novel. There's probably other ways to make it even awesomer. And we're on board. You heard from Bonnie, we're on board to do that. So you come up with those ideas and we're going to go for it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, one closing comment. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Big shout out to ATARC for hosting and supporting this event. So we'll be doing more of these. In the meantime, we've been talking about how you can get in touch with us. You can always email us at support@tradewindmarketplace.com, support@tradewindmarketplace.com. That goes directly to us. So hit us up there with any questions. And we'll always make sure we get your questions answered and connect you to wherever we need to be connected. And we're going to be doing one of these webinars specifically for government. So if you're a government person on this call, we'll be doing this again on December 6th. And if any of the industry people out there work with government acquisition contracting people that want to learn more, please make sure they keep their eyes peeled on ATARC's website about the December 6th event. So thank you all for being here, and let us know if you have any questions. We'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.